And at this time, I'd like to call to order council work session for May 2nd. It is 6:16 and beautiful Batesburg-Leesville Town Hall Complex. And call the meeting to order, and there's just one item on here, new business, and this is a discussion related to annual action items for the fiscal year 22-23, led by Town Manager Ted Luckett. Ted.
All right, thank you. It's that time of the year, hot and heavy, starting to near the end of getting things, what I'd say, that every year things that are reoccurring, that we know we got to have in the budget done, that we're trying now to kind of weigh any extra money that we may have and what are council's priorities for this coming year. We'd like, as we always do, kind of recommend from the staff standpoint those things that we see as a priority coming up, and to have this discussion so that as we finalize the draft budget to come to council and present, we know exactly what we're going to be putting in it or trying to get worked out within the budget for this year. First thing I want to do is just kind of highlight and remind of the current projects that we have underway. I know this is in the weekly report, but this is just for the sake of discussion, kind of topping you off with what we do currently have going on. The engineering and design for both town-owned parks continues to roll along, is well underway. Hopefully we will have the land plan group south ready to come back and present kind of an update to you guys here soon on where they stand with that. Engineering and design for Woodard Unity Park. One of the things that I've put in the weekly report a couple times is would love to have some recommendations on people you think would be great to serve on a stakeholder group for this. I know I've got a few names that kind of date back to when we had the ceremony. Some other names have been given. But the land plan group would like to have a stakeholder meeting with the group to kind of kick off their engineering and design for that. Pine Street parking continues to progress. It's inching along. The utility poles, temporary pole was set the other day for the traffic lights, and the big utility poles should be coming down soon with paving beginning around the end of May, Highway 23 beginning. The water project, the joint municipal, that is underway with the surveying and everything for that. And infiltration and inflow improvements. This was something in the ARP resolution that was passed to get that first phase of I&I completed. And obviously the multiple projects we've had at the wastewater treatment plant, and now kind of the new project being the liquid chemical feed, the existing new project, let me say that, for the liquid chemical feed, and then the purchase of a new fire truck. Those are kind of the bigger things that we have going on right now. As far as us and our staff recommendations for this coming year, here's a few items that we feel would be good to try and move forward with. The first one you will see is fund a hotel analysis study. As y'all will recall, we went through, Chief, will you direct Mr. Baldwin? Thank you. We went to Vegas and we went through the retail recruitment training program. One of the groups that we had kind of targeted throughout our involvement in this training program was we feel there's a need for a hotel here in Batesburg-Leesville. So in attending these events that we've gone to, having the conversations, what we don't have at this point is quantifiable data for a hotel to be able to know if it's going to be beneficial to them or not. In talking with them, if we allot about $15,000, we can have what is known as a hotel analysis study done, and that is a study that happens quite frequently throughout communities. We've had a couple suggested names given to us. $15,000 is the cost that we've been told it would cost, but the reality is we don't stand a chance at even recruiting a hotel unless we have this hotel analysis study. So to help us in trying to recruit a hotel here, which we believe there is a need for, whether it's 50 rooms or 150 rooms, we're going to have this study, and that's one thing that we recommend trying to fit in.
Where will that money come from?
That would have to be a general fund
General fund?
expenditure. Yes, sir.
So that couldn't come from hospitality tax?
I don't see a justification for hospitality tax on that. I wish it could. Certainly, there's a little more flexibility in our budgeting for the hospitality tax fund than it is general fund or utility, but I just don't see where that would fit in hospitality tax. Hire a full-time employee, again, referencing back to the ARP resolution that you guys passed, that was one of the items that we had in there. Just kind of highlighting that as a priority for this year to continue forward with getting that full-time IT person on board with the town, with the first year funded by American Rescue Plan funds. Finalize the wastewater treatment plant improvement projects. At this point, Basin 1's done, but we do continue to have work done on the Headworks project. Basin 2 is all but complete, but we're getting close to finishing that out. But the new one being the liquid chemical feed project that will take a big portion of this year to get done. And then complete the first phase of I&I improvements. Again, this was another one of the ARP resolution items. Continue progress on the water project at Joint Municipal. Receive RFPs and RFQs for automated meter reading and to determine the final source of funding for that based on the bids that are received or the RFPs or RFQs that are received. I think what we'll have to do is look at what we have remaining in the revenue bond funds once we kind of finish out these wastewater treatment plant projects to see what the RFQs and RFPs look like compared to the money left in the revenue bond. Bid and construct some new town entrance signs. We've had the engineering and design done on that for a little over a year now. Our recommendation is to allot funding for this year to actually build some of these new town entrance signs before we get into having to do the bond for any work that we do in the future on the downtowns and parks. Finalize engineering and design for both town parks, finalize engineering and design of our downtown districts, and to finalize Woodard Unity Park. One of the things that we've discussed internally is hiring a part-time events coordinator, kind of a marketing PR events coordinator. Our hope, it's a lot of work on Jay. Each of these events, he is kind of always taking the lead on planning, organizing, and putting these events on. As these events continue to grow, it becomes more and more work for him. But more so, what we would like is somebody who comes up with new, smaller events. I know the Ridge Arts had the Cody Webb on Oak Street that time. It ended up being a great Sunday afternoon event. We would love to do some more of that. But it's having somebody who can kind of put that time in. And we're not necessarily recommending from the beginning to hire a full-time events coordinator who deals with this all day, every day. We don't believe it's at that point in that need level yet. But if we could start with a part-time person to try and grow this and grow more events and get more people coming to our community, then we'll certainly grow the hospitality tax more and put more exposure on our community. Again, ARP already established in the resolution, provide staff with the second allotment of essential employee premium pay again this year. And the last one to me, and in mine and Jay's talks, cost of living has got to be there. We typically do 2% on an annual basis, with cost of living being between 5-6% and is up to 6% right now. We would certainly love and try in every which way to increase that cost of living for this year for our employees. As of now, these are the most critical things that we've determined to recommend to you guys, and are certainly open to any other ideas for discussion.
Are these, as you got on the screen, in order of priority for you guys?
They are not in an order of priority. This one I would say would be a hospitality. I meant to say that a couple minutes ago. That could certainly be a hospitality expense.
So the question on AMI is whether or not they use ARP or the bond that we have open at the industrial park, or the other bond for the wastewater. Is that?
So when we originally did the $4 million revenue bond,
Right.
you know, in that was gonna be included funding for some funds for automated meter reading.
1.3.
Yep, around $1.3 million. And we fully still project there to be some funds, but like liquid chemical feed has come up. And we've got a choice. We can take that from the revenue bond, or we could take that from, well, at this point, based on the resolution, ARP is covered, the full allotment of funding. And that was the I&I, the IT, the essential pay, the fire truck. That took up the $2.4 million that we had allotted for that. But depending on what the cost of the automated meter reading system is, it could be a combination of funds that we have in our capital improvement impact fee along with funds that we have in our revenue bond. We may have enough left over in the revenue bond at the end of this to take care of it. We don't know what the ultimate bid's gonna come back at. And I'm sure with inflation and costs doing what they're doing, I know the price of meters are going up just as everything else is going up. So just don't really know where that's gonna come back at financially. And I think once we know that, then we can evaluate the different sources of funds that we have.
Your town entrance thing, what do you mean by that? Like a new, like they have it
So
lumber or what?
the land plan group engineered and designed a large concept town entrance sign and a smaller entrance sign. Certainly your large signs would be for your larger gateways and roadways leading into the community, but then you have your Willis Streets and your Broad Street.
Yeah.
Areas like that aren't necessarily major primary roads. There is a smaller sign concept that was designed for smaller secondary roads.
We had been,
I think we need to, do something with the entrance coming into town, those sides. Y'all need to get really strict on making them clean up their places.
Oh, just individual property owners?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, cause that, to me, that may not even mean anything by that, but.
previous council identified 11 entranceways.
I had 9 in my head, but it could have been 11. And it depends. If you
There
want to
was
include like
question-
Windmill
There was
Road
question about Line Street.
Yeah.
and like Windmill, you could go on and on.
In relation to this, the property that the #1 west sign is sitting on has been sold.
Okay.
Apparently, we have an easement for that property location.
I've never looked in to see easement or no easement, but knowing that the property sold, I can certainly check on that.
It's been sold to the Moneta Evangelistic something or whatever, one of the church groups. All that property, Brenda Scott's property, was sold.
Yeah.
And of course, need to see if the easement's in perpetuity. Also, you need to see if there's any restriction. They can say, yeah, you can leave your sign there, but we're gonna put our sign right here. So,
Right.
before we,
You take it. Check it. Please, sir.
Are you gonna change up the existing ones or?
Again, that's not ultimately my decision. I will tell you that feedback I have received from people who were personally invested into the 2 town entrance signs that we have now, they would like to see those remain as they are. This would just be a different sign
Yeah.
at the other different roadways leading in to the
well,
community.
with technology, we can update the lighting on
Okay.
those signs.
Yes, yeah. And I think those 2 signs, you know, again, keep the lights running and keep them painted and different things like that. They're really attractive, good-looking signs. Just keeping them updated. So, but you know, we do recommend right now before we get into these bigger projects that are being engineered and designed and doing a revenue bond on that we try to go ahead and not some or all of the signs out on the other roadways coming in. Again, I think that's gonna come back to, we need to bid. I think what we would do is bid the large sign and bid the small sign, bid them both, see what the price per sign is. Identify which streets are gonna have the smaller sign, which ones are gonna have the larger sign, and then see what that cost comes up to. But we could certainly start with an allotment of funds. You know, if we needed to increase it later, we could. If we don't need to use it all, we can certainly use those funds other places.
Teddy, with saying that, do you have a ballpark estimate of what we're looking at?
What I have preliminarily penciled in is 100,000,
For that
and I
whole
think
list?
that would cover.
No.
Oh, no, that's signage. That's what I kind of penciled
I mean,
in.
100,000 for a whole list, but something else.
Let's do it.
Yeah, sign me up.
Try.
We have easements for current signs or those SCDOT signs.
A lot, again, we would need to definitely confirm all the locations that we want to put signs. And then it's a matter of trying to get them as close to the town limits as we can. And then it's a matter of, can we get it within DOT's right of way, or do we need to talk to the property owner about an easement? I think that just comes through the process. Once we know how much the signs are going to cost us, we identify where we put them, then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of easements or DOT right of way, which DOT right of way is still going to require permits that we have to complete.
You were talking about the cost of living for your employees, and you say usually you do like a 2%. How much more are you asking?
Certainly, everything is within what the budget can allow you to do. I do know that I personally would like to see more than the 2% this year. Things are getting tough out there.
State's doing 3. State's doing 3.
State's doing 3. I think a minimum, trying to go for a minimum of 3% cost of living this year. If somehow we could pull off 4, that would be even better, or even 3.5%. I think whatever we can get, we try to get. But I would really like to see 3 as a minimum percentage this year.
Well, you won't know that until you plug in the other figures for your budget.
Correct. And most of it's plugged in, and I will tell you, inflation, fuel prices, I'm not getting too far into this tonight, but just to kind of paint the picture for you, state health plan hit us with an 18.1% increase in health coverage this year. The 10 years leading up to this year was 4% total over 10 years. They hit us with 18.1% this year. So when you start talking about the 1% for retirement that's required, start talking about the 18.1% for medical, you start talking about inflation on the cost that we're having to pay, and then the fuel prices. It is tightening things up, and it's really tight dealing with the budget right now. So we'll certainly go for the 3, and if there's wiggle room for a little bit more, we'll let you know. But we certainly want to try and go for the 3% this year, if we can. I'd like to see us make 3 a minimum, if we can.
Looking at it from the outside, looking in, not crunching all the numbers, I mean, it's not gonna be pretty for the next year, and probably more as inflation's, I mean, each month we're seeing 6% increases. And it's as much as we can offer staff, for a morale thing and to keep them around, keep them working and not going out looking for other jobs and losing staff, losing trained personnel. I think it's worth the effort.
I do think one thing that helps this year is having the second allotment of ARP that's going to be there. I mean, at the end of the day, while I would like to see us go for 3, if we have to do 2, at least we've got this year to back it up. But again, I still would like to try and go with the 3% if we can get it at a minimum.
3 at a minimum, if it's,
Mr. Hall said, the state.
And it is tough when people like the state are saying, it's in the paper, the state's giving 3% and raise it to employees. I mean, that's what our employees come back with, is, well, the state's getting 3%.
And there are other municipalities close to us that did not give an allotment to staff from the ARP money. So I'm not gonna name any names, but. Yeah. There are some that did not, but, you know, I think
You can
that's
put
great.
you can put Swansea in there, you can put,
Yeah.
right, whatever, I mean.
No, I'm kidding, I'm teasing,
Yeah.
I'm teasing. I'm just.
Mayor Walker won't burn your house.
That's very good.
Well, Teddy, outside of these 10, 12, what is another burning issue on the plate that we had to kick out in order to put something on?
We have,
So I think one of the next things we've got to talk about is, I mean, it certainly plays into the budget, but it's kind of a separate issue. And I've asked Jay if he would take lead on this. Let's talk about this real quick, and then we can circle back to this, because this is an issue that's got to be discussed by council, and is ultimately going to take council's decision.
we also have to look at the revenue side of the business. I think we ought to look at our fee structures, particularly on zoning and so forth, so that every one of those services are self-supporting, particularly the second item tonight on garbage collection. That needs to be self-supporting. So if we need to change our fees, we need to look at that. I don't know whether you come before a zoning board, you come before a zoning board and you go through the process. What does that really cost us?
Right.
All right.
So one thing that I do want to note is, I mentioned this at last council meeting, is business licensing got delayed this year, getting those out. Well, that's kind of delayed our ability to see what our business license revenue is doing as compared to last year, this time, because we're behind.
That was due to the portal in the state.
Well, that was due to the changes in state law that we had to adopt, which ultimately led to this big conversion we had to do and getting everything in the portal. It's a great portal that the MASC did, but it required a ton of work.
But inflation helps you there.
You are correct, and I think that's one thing we have to be cautious of at the same time. Inflation is going to increase business license revenue, but then when inflation goes down, you could see a drop in your business license revenue.
Oh, recess.
So we don't want to shoot too high on the business license revenue because the numbers look good coming in this year. We've just got to find that balance of what has it done on a typical year and what did it do this year, and kind of play middle ground on some of the increases. So, all right, I'm gonna let Jay talk about garbage rates.
Well, I'm not exactly a garbage expert, but I'll try to be. So I wanted to just kind of give you an overview. Hopefully it's big enough that the mayor, who's kind of aged in the back.
Now, I can read it.
Okay. Just for clarity, the contract that we're operating on was originally with Advanced Disposal. It was a 5-year renewal in 2019. Advanced Disposal was acquired by Waste Management during the pandemic. They started it prior, but it didn't happen until fall of 2020. So that created a lot of confusion and chaos. So the 12/21 rate that they have been billing us dates back to the 2019 rate increase, which was July 1. Through the acquisition process, the ball got dropped. They never communicated with us. They never updated the process, and so we had been billing at that 12/21 rate. In 2021, it's time for that, the next CPI increase. Waste Management went to implement a 3.6 CPI, and they thought it was being charged at 12/41 when it was 12/21. So that led to some confusion. Teddy kind of challenged me on that. Back and forth. They were not billing us in the fall while that was being reviewed. So we had a meeting March 16th of this year. And so what they determined was they were going to go back to that 12/21. They retroacted the 3.6 CPI increase, which July 1 of 2021. So the current year rate is $12.65. It went retroactive back to July 1.
Can I note something on that?
Absolutely.
Our rate did not change that we were charging, even though they went up that 3.6%, because that really was just determined and not long ago.
Yeah, this month.
So I just want to note that.
So we have to make that up.
So that'll be a discussion for you guys.
Well, what, we owe them $250,000 now?
Well, we've got all the invoices called up from July to February.
At the end of March, we owed them $250,000.
Yeah, it was like $200 and something thousand we got caught up on.
So we collected it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
but we have it in the bank, so it skews our bank account.
Fair enough, but
Yes.
But the bank account's back on track.
Okay.
So July 1, 2022, Waste Management's implementing a 4.2% CPI increase, which will raise the rate they're charging us to $13.18. Just for clarity's sake, in addition to that rate, the town charges an additional 30 cents to all customers that covers the Saluda County in-town properties landfill rates, since it's Saluda County trash going to the Lexington County landfill. And then also there's an additional 27 cents for additional recycling costs. So just kind of combining all that together, 57 cents to 3.18, the new rate will be 13.75 for the customer, if that's the way you go. That will be a 97-cent increase per month over the current rate.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, the increase includes the fact we have not previously been charging the 27 cents additional recycling.
We have.
We have.
We have been we have been charging since since 2019 when the new deal went in, because that's when recycling costs were starting to escalate up, and Sunoco, that whole deal, we were starting to get hit with those recycling surcharges. And that's when, that was kind of following Lexington County finding out, well, there's a bunch of Saluda County houses whose trash is coming to our landfill, and that whole thing came up. So we kind of calculated it. 30% was, at that time, council said, well, let's do the 30 cent needed to cover the Saluda County houses, and let's do 20, based on the surcharges we were being charged at that time, it got broke down to 27 cent per bill would kind of cover the recycling surcharges. However, I believe every time that recycling surcharges increase to that 27 cent is probably not really adequate at this point.
So you're saying,
It's a little low.
you're saying the 13.18 should probably, no, 13.75 probably needs to go up a little higher.
It could.
And then we have the question of Lexington County taxpayers paying for Saluda County residents.
Right. And I know that's something you've mentioned
Do
to
we
me a lot,
have-
but there's
We have
another.
the capability of billing Saluda County separate from Lexington County. Do we not?
We do.
Okay.
And you, also another thing that's a variable in this that we don't know to be completely for sure at this point, how many of these properties that are going to be affected by the shift in the Saluda-Lexington County line, what is that going to do to the total number of houses that we have within Saluda County? Because I believe we're doing it now based on 147 homes that are in Saluda County but within our town limits. If any more homes are picked up on that, that's certainly going to increase what we have to pay to Lexington County.
Have we done an audit on our garbage collection system?
That is something supposed to be started very soon, that Waste Management is going to do.
Because there's a tremendous number of dipsy-doos, particularly in the Batesburg district, and are we being charged for those? And there's no water to those systems, those buildings, or?
I completely agree. That's why we had asked for the audit as well, is you've got a lot of people, a rental house clears out and the neighbor goes over after it clears out and takes the trash can. Now he's got 2 or 3 trash cans, but he's paying for one. There's a lot of that, I believe, around town, so, we're certainly happy to add 2 extra containers on their bill and send it to them and see if they come back.
I also think that recycling, again, a few pennies more would enable us to push recycling a lot more than we're doing it now. We have Lexington County's landfill is going to run out sooner or later. But I'm just simply saying, you know, let's build a margin of error in there, and if you can give the money back to them by next rate increase, not doing that. If you're gonna, they're not gonna, 10 cents, you're gonna do 97 cents, $1.07 isn't gonna create any more, although it could be the straw that broke the camel's back.
I will tell you this, when you look at this, we are low for sanitation rates. We are low, very low, compared to, I mean, I can speak to multiple Lexington County cities that are $16, $17, $18 a month. The county's contract is $20.
You say I pay 20 a month.
20 a month is what the Lexington County contract is for sanitation.
But windshield time between picks.
Well,
It's-
correct,
it's
but
right.
I think, if I recall, City of Casey is somewhere around the $16 to $18 per month.
I think,
And I think most-
West Columbia's in there also.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just wanted to point out, when you look at 1375, I mean, it may be a 97-cent increase, but our rates are, we were very pleased with the contract we got in 2019 with advanced disposal, with the rates that we had. And we're still very low compared to most people around us, so just one thing to note on that. I'm not saying we go and start jacking the price up, but I also think it's worth noting.
At this point, we know we've got some, I don't want to say it, we're a little bit behind on what we paid for the last, 9 months. What we've collected versus what we've paid out. I mean, and whatever that audit determines will tell us how far we are behind, I assume. We'll give some of that information as far as.
Well, no. This audit's gonna try and find who is paying for one can.
Okay.
But they're using 3 or 4 cans.
Okay, so they're doing basically a house-to-house inventory.
Right. If anybody's losing on that deal, it's Waste Management,
Right.
not
Right.
us, because we're
Right.
charging for one, we're paying them for one, but they're picking up 3 or 4. So if anybody's
Right.
losing on that, it's
Yes.
Waste Management.
It's their advantage.
So they have every reason in the world they want to do the audit. And we've asked for it, and they quickly jumped on and said, okay,
I mean, I think 1375, looking at that bottom number, feels to me like it's too low. We've got some making up we've got to do, and we've got some time to, you know, when we see our next increase next year, I think we're going to see a significant increase. I mean, I think we bite the bullet now and raise it a little more than that. I mean, it's not ideal. Nobody wants to pay more for anything, but we're paying more for everything.
They're billing us,
$12.65 at this point.
yeah, they're billing us $12.65 per location that we say, or are they billing
That
us
we say.
$12.65 for what they say they're picking up?
From what we tell them, we're
Okay.
billing.
Right.
Question, I don't see no recyclable containers outside the road. Now, are we paying for those that are
Well-
not being picked up?
Well, no, so the recycling is based on weight. They actually measure the weight of the recycling. That's where the surcharge is coming in. Does that make sense? So garbage is just based on the per container
I
price.
understand that, but
When they come to pick up recycling, that is weight based. That's why a lot of cities have gone that we're not recycling glass anymore, because it's all based on weight. When they come here with the recycling truck, it's empty. And then they weigh it.
Do they charge everybody recycling?
There-
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Recycling's
Okay, fine,
included
because I don't
in
have one. I don't have a recycling thing.
well, we
Request form.
yeah, request, we can.
No, I ain't gonna take time out, I'm just telling you, I ain't gonna take time out, pulling this out, pulling that, no. I do not go through my garbage, I will not. It all goes.
So recycling is every other week, just as a reminder.
But other than that, no, I don't have a recycling thing.
Every other week, I generally see a lot of recycling containers out.
There's not one on our street.
It's not as predominant as it has been, and it is not an issue that we've pushed, so,
Right.
Those little
whatever.
boxes things. They
No,
just put
they're
up.
full-size cans
That's
now.
one that says.
Oh, okay.
With a different color.
green can.
Oh, okay. But there's, as far as I know, there's not a recycling.
I got them up and down my street all the time.
You do?
It is. I have a meeting set up, we're going to talk about styrofoam, which is an issue in landfills. You know, I had them walk in my office 25 years ago and say, you guys are going to have to reduce your waste by 30% over the next 12 months. It costs us to do away with styrofoam and come up with a new packaging system. And we no longer address styrofoam as a separate issue in Lexington County. Only takes 1 million years.
So-
That going into effect?
I'm sorry, do what?
When would that go into effect?
This was going to affect July 1. And again, if we just take their rate increase, what their rate's gonna be, and stick with the 57 cent we've been adding, the 13.75 would go into effect July 1.
And the contract expires June 30th, 2024.
Should, yes.
Yeah, it should. I know it's 2024. I can't remember the date we signed it, but it should be June 30. I'm about positive. Is
So we need to start looking at how we're gonna pressure.
Well, I certainly will be an advocate. What we, and what I'll say is advanced disposal, I think part of why we got it down was there was an option to RFP last time, or we said, advanced, if you will give us a heck of a good rate as determined by us, we won't put you through the process of RFP. And they came back with a really good rate at that time. I'm not saying that would happen again, but we will certainly have that discussion about RFP and around end of next year.
Does the 57 cents cover what we need to cover, or is that number off now?
As of right this second, regardless of the belief on whether it should be spread among everyone or all charged to Saluda County residents,
Well,
but the 30 cent covers what we needed to cover for Lexington County, what we have to pay them, because that's a standard.
I think in terms of town services, I think we're being very careful, you know, charging different rates for the different counties when it comes to town services. Different counties already have, you know, like property taxes, for example. You know, we have an offset for the penny tax in Lexington County that you do not have in Saluda County. So that's a difference, but that is imposed by the county. I don't know that we should foster any type of, you know, penalty for living in Saluda County from the municipality's perspective. So, you know, I would like to continue keeping the same rate for all people within the municipality for our service.
Along those same lines,
Well-
police service, fire service.
Right.
If you never call the fire department to your house, you're still paying for fire service to be
Well,
there in that
except
same.
for the fact, no. If you live in Lexington County, inside the town of Batesburg-Leesville, you get a 20.1 mil advantage on your tax bill over Saluda County. Plus, we have a 50,000. All of this will probably change when they put their station down here at Hampton Roads.
And my point
But
is,
Lexington County also, on my tax bill, has a landfill line item. So we are paying for supporting that landfill. Saluda County takes their trash to Edgeville. Waste Management that will not make the run to Edgeville, all right? Saluda County charges a different millage rate, all right, on property. There are differences. I'm just simply,
and I'm not disagreeing with you.
and
I know that there's
and I have
differences at
constituents
the-
who live in Saluda.
I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm saying,
Yeah.
I agree with you, that at the county level, that's their decision. But as a service that the municipality gets, if we wanna get out of that service and allow the county to just take care of that, and we don't deal with it anymore, then the counties can charge what they want to charge for people inside of our town, like they're doing with other things like Mr. Hall highlighted. But if it's a service that we're doing as municipality, I think we need to even it for all people. Because we shouldn't encourage a dead zone in our town that costs more to live there. We shouldn't encourage that. The counties can do what the counties do, but as far as our services, I don't think we should make a difference between those things.
No comment?
So,
No comment, I mean, you know,
Thank you, Jay.
basically,
I vote,
No, it's just my opinion.
difference,
It's my
it's
opinion.
difference of opinion, and I'm sure you have the 5 votes, so go.
well, I haven't, certainly haven't lined up any.
No, I understand.
So, what I'm trying to, I guess, from a budgetary standpoint, we're either going to 375 and 97 cent, and I can kind of calculate or what we're going to pay out to advanced disposal versus what we're going to bring in. That helps me to kind of project that and how to affect revenue and expenses going in and out. Or Councilman Prowse had brought up possibly doing more. I don't necessarily have I have a recommendation that we at least have to go to this. We have to do that. But anything else is for discussion and council. And I just kind of need to know what the mindset is on that from a budgetary standpoint.
How long does Waste Management anticipate their audit will take to complete? Do they have any idea?
About a month.
Okay.
And I think that was, and when we talked with them, I think it was around a month. I mean, they could inventory one route, but I think, people put different amounts of cans depending on what their usage is. If they hit it over a 4-week time period,
They get a pretty decent idea.
they get a pretty decent idea. That gives you a chance to have a birthday party or something. No, here all of a sudden comes the extra can out of the house. You notice there's 2 this time and there was 1 last time, so that just lets them get a better feel. And I would rather them take their time and ensure than to just try and rush through it in one route cycle. So. But again, I mean, I don't think that really plays into the budget side. It certainly can if a few cans are found here and there, but I don't think you're talking financial impact enough when you think about $300,000 from an income and expense side. It's not going to be enough money from the audit
Right.
to drastically affect that. Unless we just find hundreds of cans, which I don't think it's going to be that kind of number.
Basically, roughly how many garbage customers do we have?
Oh, it's
It's in the newsletter.
Roughly 2,100, 22?
I was going to say 2,500.
2,500? Okay, all right. So basically, a 10-cent additional increase is $1.20 times 2,500 is another $27.50. So really, all you're looking at is when we actually put this into official status, we vote on it in a regular meeting, all you have to do is go back and plug $2,750 into the revenue side of the budget. I mean, it's not because you're only affecting the revenue side. Is that correct?
I would imagine you'd affect both sides, because once they get an accurate, if you're adding some to the revenue side, then you will also add it to the expense side.
Well,
If they're
no, you
counting-
can always put it in the reserve account. You don't have to spend it just because you collect it.
Oh, I know.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
General fund is the only budget I am required by law to balance. Just
But that can be balanced by putting money in a savings account.
General fund
account.
reserve.
A reserve account,
We have a hospitality reserve line item.
yes.
So,
North Augusta requires that 20% of their budget be held in reserve, a formal reserve.
the rate increase is going to require a vote, not tonight. The rate increase is going to require a vote. So, I mean, this is something, if we could talk about it, and if I could feel like there's a consensus and an agreement, not a vote,
You're talking about-
tonight on, I could put this on for Monday night, effective July 1, the vote, and that would help me out from a budget. I mean, is it 1375? Is it 14? Is it, that's the number I need to come back with to be able to get voted on.
just for curiosity, what if we all voted no for it? What would happen?
It's going, then,
No, I'm just
they're gonna
asking.
start
I'm just-
charging us $13
Okay.
and
It'll come out-
18
It'll
cents.
come out of the general revenue fund.
Yeah.
Okay,
We
I
have
was
to
just
pay the bill.
wondering.
They're gonna charge us 13.18 and we're gonna be charging 12,
Yeah.
Whatever, 12.
what are we charging now, 12?
12.21.
Huh?
It's
12.70? What are we charging now,
Well, if
12.70?
you're going to 1375 and then 1997, so you're charging
Not actually.
1278 now.
It's 57 close to
1278 now.
Okay, yeah.
57 cent on that, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're charging 12.78 right now, but we would be paying them 13.18.
Okay, I'm just asking.
No.
Just- I didn't mean to.
If y'all voted down, the revenue is definitely gonna,
Yeah, if we vote it down,
expenses
we
are definitely
lose
gonna pay.
50 cents.
Yeah,
For every
yeah,
traffic
no, I was
that
just
goes.
wondering what,
Ted
you
will
know.
just lose a few more hairs, that's all.
I'm new at this, I don't, you know.
I ain't much more to lose, but I can turn a lot more gray.
Yeah.
Oh, that's coming for you, don't worry.
Just take a job that has 650 women, they'll all turn gray.
For all, would that increase be for all those, because I was hearing the mayor was saying something about some of those that live like in.
No, what the conversation that occurred here was with regards to the 30 cent to cover the Saluda County. So are you familiar with what we're talking about with that? Okay, so that's that 30 cent of the 57 cent we're charging. I think Councilman Hallway kind of indicated that he would like to explore the idea of not everybody in town paying the 30 cent per month, but all that cost be put back on just the people that live in Saluda County, that live inside the town. And I think what the mayor was saying was he would just like to see everyone pay the same thing. So that was the conversation.
What I'm asking you, would that be, what he was saying, would that be for all? That increase, that 1375, would that be for everyone?
That, as it stands now, that'd be for everyone in town.
Okay,
Saluda County, Lexington County, and town.
yeah, that's what I'm.
And an additional dumpster is 1375.
Yes.
I thought it was 5 extra per container.
I think it's the same rate because each Kirby, I believe, that's my understanding. Everybody pays a full rate for an additional.
So if Tony Crady has 4 additional, he's paying $20 and not 54.
Or he needs to be audited. So there's the question.
Well, that's, yeah, that's. And he may be playing games, he
And
may
I'm
be
going to
using
tell
his
you, if
wife's
you know
business.
places that have multiple shoot them to us, we can quickly verify.
I'll tell you, we
So
have
what
two,
I'm hearing from you is I can
but one
check
of the
that.
lids is just completely only, I mean, it,
We keep a stock of containers and we will come bring you the new.
no, I've got a perfectly good one. How an extra one showed up with the lid
Plant 5.
tore off.
Billy, that's all you need
Billy
to know.
probably,
did.
I know it.
Probably get it this true.
But no, I mean, it showed up, I have no idea.
Take a 7.5 inch circular saw, apply it 18 inches from the bottom and go all the way around it, and you have a planter. You just have to,
Why not just drill holes in it and the water will, you know, have your garden?
planter.
What else do you need
That's
from
some
us?
deep roots.
I need to know if I'm coming back at that or is there a discussion in any different amount?
No, I'm
No,
fine.
that's- my question would be, is there a fudge factor built in there?
There's no fudge in that.
What, and that's
That's what we were talking about.
There's no fudge, no,
I
I
would say 14.
mean, what I'll reiterate is 13.18 of this will be what we have to pay each month. 30 cent of that is covering today the Saluda County homes that their trash is going to Lexington County. But again, that could change.
Do we know
Yeah.
that? Since
More-
they don't weigh, since they don't let you know how much they're picking up into the landfill.
The formula that we used were the 149, I think is what it is,
Households.
homes.
Okay.
We come up with an average household weight in the garbage containers. It's based on, we had a formula that we worked up and drafted up for that. And if no more new homes are being added in Saluda County, it's the same thing we pay every year, $8,045 off the top of my head. I know it's 8,000 and some change. So that's the same. Now, if through this relining of the Saluda-Lexington County line, we pick up 20 new homes into Saluda County that were in Lexington County, now what we're paying Lexington County is gonna go up.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, now that 30 cent won't cover it.
Yeah.
But the 27 cent, I do not believe the 27 cent that we tacked on back in 2019 based on the surcharges is covering what our actual expenses on recycling surcharges are today. I think it's under. Recycling surcharges have just continued to go up.
Fuel surcharge.
So
It is low.
I can't say that we're even breaking even if we stay at this, just based on
That's, I mean, that's my point.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
everything. So if you want to,
If I may.
Yes.
Point. We need some reserve. I understand the contract does have a potential fuel escalation clause in it.
yep.
So therefore, we have no provision with inflation. Waste management.
Can I
could-
clarify to them
Yes.
what that means?
Okay.
So in the case of what we're dealing with now, their contract does have a fuel surcharge that if their cost begins to exceed a certain amount, we will be charged a fuel surcharge. And quite frankly, that's probably about to happen.
Yeah, it's not a small
And
amount.
there's nothing in the rate that we're charging now that covers that. That's just money out of our pocket.
$13.97 sounds
So when you
good.
asked if there's any cushion, there's none. As a matter of fact, what we're charging now probably is not covering all of our costs.
So,
22 cents.
So back to Jason's point, I mean, now would be that
14.27.
time to look at
14.27.
making up probably a little bit of what we're losing and even building a little bit of,
Recommend you put it in at
Fudge.
14.27?
recommend 1427?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and I think you're probably taking into the account of the 3.6 that are retroactive back in July. We haven't been charging for that.
Right.
No, we haven't. So this year,
We're just trying to get some reserve in there, just
Yeah.
so that we're not tapping a general fund that's gonna
between
get
fuel
spent.
and recycling cost, it's really hard to analyze and even know exactly how hard we're getting hit, but we're not, I don't think we're breaking even on
Look,
sanitary.
people walk into Ace Hardware and buy a bag of 10-10-10 that cost them $10 last year, cost them 21 this year. You know, they buy plants that cost them $2.49, they're now $4.29. Everyone is aware that we have inflation, and we just need to protect ourselves from having to come back with a emergency increase, which we have the right to do at any time, but
Let's plan for it now and not wait till it
Exactly.
it's really bad.
Yeah.
the
I-
14,
So he said 1427?
yeah, 14.27.
Yeah,
Not when, no vote, but if you wanna give me a nod or.
That sounds good to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree,
All right,
much as I
14.27.
hate it, but I agree.
Staff's recommendation, is this what you wanna do?
I support it. I do.
Okay,
Okay, all right, thank you.
next line item.
Going back, to Councilman, Mayor Pro Tem Gambrell's, sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Gambrell's, question.
Don't do it again.
Garbage was one of the things that's kind of burning right now that we needed to get this ironed out. The biggest, one of the more burning things that we've had leading up to this year was just that need for talking about a fire truck. But we've kind of gotten that answered at this point with ARP funds. That was one of them that was lingering and burning, but I'm sitting there going, how in the heck are we gonna pay for a fire truck? And ARP's taking care of that for us, thankfully. You know, I think the bigger burning things right now are these water and sewer improvements and getting our water and sewer systems improved. And I think we've got a lot going on. We're greatly improving. We're certainly not gonna be out of the dark, but there are some lights at the end of the tunnel, especially on that wastewater side and on the water side.
We're not
So,
gonna be black bagging too many fire hydrants.
no, shouldn't see any more black bags at this point. All that was taken up
Speaking
care
of
of.
fire hydrants, why are we running every fire hydrant in Leesville?
Okay, so that is, Mayor literally called me on the way here. He's like, why are we flooding the grass over here? At least, that is for the Poultry Festival coming up, to be able to have it to where vendors can tie in and have that as a source of
We got
water.
to bleed the line that much in order to get ready to do it.
You,
It's all been on there.
you have got to flush the crap out of it. You have
Those
got
spigots
to.
don't let a lot of water out compared to how much water's in those lines.
That's, DHEC approves that as potable water?
So Tim works with DHEC on their certain, and as long as we meet the contaminant, the samples, which we always have, we don't do it unless we're meeting the samples.
First time I noticed
Uh,
this.
Oh, they did.
Oh, they do that every year.
While the budget issue
Yeah,
is
I
open,
didn't know this
have
this year
we
either.
taken
I didn't
delivery of
know
all the
this- no, they
vehicles we
didn't.
agreed to buy?
Yes, we did. One
Have we
thing,
sold all of the ones that we
no,
agreed to
we have
sell?
not finished selling at this point.
All of, but everything we've sold has gone through GSA?
Yes, everything that we've owned's gone through GSA rolls.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's no individual sales?
No individual sales. I do want to note, yesterday's hailstorm out near the lake did quite a number on our new fire department cheap pickup truck. So it's going to be going to the body shop and have to go through insurance.
Wrong place there.
Hey, I bet there was at least 65 dents on it.
I said, well, we didn't.
Bigger, he had held aside
Yeah,
bigger
it was-
golf balls in his hand.
I
in a
saw
picture.
some pictures of that.
You live something?
Yeah.
He lives out in Saluda County, out near the lake.
Hailstorm right there.
It did. I would say there was at least 65 dents from him.
Saluda County's such a bad place to live, buddy. All you guys live out there.
I didn't say Saluda County was bad, but yes, ma'am.
With the
I don't
garbage
think it is either. It's gonna outstrip this end of Lexington County shortly.
stuff out like furniture, so why did they stop doing that?
Bulk collection. So bulk collection ended in
Probably 16 or something.
16 or 17.
I think it was before.
Um,
we came on.
Oh, yeah. Might have even been till in 15.
Yeah.
The reason for that was we started surveying. Bulk collection was costing us out of pocket close to $50,000 a year to haul the containers, everything off that we picked up. And what we found was the majority, we actually started tracking for like 2 or 3 months. We tracked everywhere where we picked up bulk items. And 95+% of everywhere was rental homes. And what was happening is the people who were making money renting the house were putting bulk goods out for us to pick up, which was costing us $50,000 a year.
Council can take care of that by passing an ordinance that has a charge to the landowner for us having to pick that up and transport it. One of the other problems, Ms. Johnny May, that I'm looking at from a different standpoint is the fact that Lexington County landfill here has a different set of policies than Lexington County landfill, and they accept different things or will not accept things. At this one, that they will accept at ballpark, they will accept at Irmo, and so forth. So
Mr. Hall, but you're talking about the recycle center?
The collection station.
Yeah, the collection station, yes.
Okay, well, you said landfill, I just want to make sure.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. The collection station has a different set of criteria.
Yeah, because
For-
here they
Will
won't take
take
tires.
mattresses.
And they won't take tires.
Yes.
But Saluda will take tires.
So Ms. Johnny made back the
But
point, that council at the
Lexington
time
County
had
will also
basically
take
determined
tires
that
at other locations.
Oh,
the
okay.
people who were making money
That's an issue.
renting properties were costing us $50,000 a year when they could have used some of the money they made off the rental property
Throw the stuff
to
away.
dispose of that stuff themselves. And I get what you're saying, that there could be another way looked at to be able to do this, but part of the challenge on that is you are charged on 2 things in bulk collection. One is overall weight, and 2 is the price per item. So a mattress has a certain value, a tire has a certain value, a kitchen table has a certain value, but you are paying for a certain price for that table, but you're also paying for the weight, overall weight of what you send off. So to go back to billing, we would have to somehow track what we picked up everywhere to be able to invoice whomever we pick it up from, and it was just gonna be a very complicated situation, so we just, at that time,
That's
I
why
council.
you're
like
seeing
the
out
mayor's
rules.
idea, I like the mayor's idea, charge everybody the same thing. A flat fee if we have to pick up because your tenant cleaned out your house, you're gonna get charged $150.
But we don't know if $150 we would, we could lose money off of that.
Okay.
By the time you take the cost per weight plus the items that you're disposing of, I don't know if 150 would be enough, depending on, you pull up and there's a mountain of stuff, it's
Heck,
probably
no,
gonna cost you more
what's
than
all in that
150
mess,
bucks.
You got to load it.
It was just gonna be so complicated
Oh.
to try and,
It's gonna get loaded one way or
I
the
ain't
other.
gonna bring no bugs.
All right. Well,
You have to be the person.
but you know, our citizens have to drive to Edmond to dump a mattress.
Just set it on fire. Just set it on fire.
After you call the police department.
Yes, I do. I
Verify.
call them when we
Right.
burn yard debris. We call them the non-emergency police department. I tell them it's the firebug again.
All right.
anything else? All right, thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Ms. Brown, with motion, do I have a second? Second. Mr. Gambrell, any discussion?
We did say-
District 1?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
2? Yes. 4?
Yes.
6?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
8?
Yes.
And I vote yes. We are adjourned.
Because I thought